Hi, and welcome to True Home Ohio Property Management. My name is Ryan. I am one of the co-owners of the company. My partner Zach and I started it back in 2016. Before that, we were both landlords. We purchased a few rental properties ourselves where we lived in one unit, rented out the others. So we learned a lot from that experience as landlords ourselves. We've done it all firsthand. And being landlords, we learned how stressful it can be with rent collection, dealing with evictions, handling maintenance at all hours of the night, handling emergencies, lockouts, doing property showings, handling lease agreements, and knowing what to put in there and what not to put in there, and how to phrase things. So we've learned it all being landlords ourselves. And so over the years, we realized from our experiences of being a landlord that could carry over and we would be able to help other investors with their properties. So my partner and I, we both became licensed real estate agents. Zach is the broker and I am the licensed real estate agent. We only focus on property management. Our company does not buy or sell properties. We just strictly focus on property management. However, we do have a lot of great connections with other realtors within the areas that we recommend to clients or potential clients even. So that's kind of how we started, and it's been a great experience over the last few years. And my goal with this video is that I can kind of share with you our services and what you might expect if you want to become part of our True Home Ohio family, if you want us to manage your investment properties and have a really great experience with that. So to get started, I want to go over a lot of the questions that people typically have for us when they're calling in, interested about learning more about our company. And the number one thing is typically, what are our rates? And so the biggest one is the monthly management fee. So if you have a single family home, the monthly management fee is 8% of gross monthly income with a minimum of $124. And if you have a smaller multifamily property, or you have a few properties, but it's under 10 units, so 2 to 9 units, then the management fee is 8% with a $94 a unit minimum, and that's per month. If you have more than 10 units, we will talk to you personally about what that pricing would look like for you. So that's the big one that a lot of people ask about, and so the next part that's a big topic is leasing. How do we find new renters? What do we do? How do we process applications? All that fun stuff. So when we have a vacant unit, what we do is we will do some market research. We can generate some reports to determine what might be a good price given other comparable units in the area. We'll talk with our clients, say, here's what we're seeing, here's what we recommend. In addition to that, we also will do a unit inspection. And so if a renter had just moved out, we would have done a move out inspection that all of our clients get a copy of. We'll provide an estimate of what we feel needs to be done to get the unit in rent ready condition and how much that might be. If it's a new property that we're just onboarding and we've not done any maintenance yet, it was completely vacant when we started working with you, then we'll still do that inspection and you'll get a report. We're not sure without looking at the property what exactly the price could be based on the current condition and whatnot. So doing an inspection, doing market research will help us generate a proper listing price. We'll talk to you, everyone agrees on it, we'll put it in our software, and we use a program called Buildium. And Buildium's really great. It does a lot of things for us. It's our property management software. Clients get an account with Buildium where they can review reports, rent roll, lease documents, property management agreements, inspections, any kind of financial history. I'll pull it up on your Buildium account. It's really great. On our end, we will generate the listing from Buildium, and then it gets syndicated out to all the really big rental sites. So Zillow Group, so Zillow, HotPads, Trulia. If it's a single family home, it'll also go out to apartments.com. Our multifamily homes do not appear on apartments.com at this time. Possibly down the future we'll add that in there. But if it's a single family home, it'll appear on there. Redfin, I think, is another one, and there's some smaller smaller sites that it will go on, like Dwellsy, and there's some other not as familiar sites, but it's great because some people do go to these sites and we get leads from there. So it goes out to all these sites. And I forgot to mention too, we do highly recommend having our company go out to get professional photos taken. We have a great partnership with a company that does amazing photos, and they will also, for a little bit extra, they will do a 3D Zillow tour, which is really great when we're listing photos. It makes us stand out. It makes the listings look really appealing, and it attracts more quality renters when we have those really nice photos. The Zillow tours help it as well. So we highly encourage our clients to invest in it. It's really just a one-time purchase, and it's kind of like an investment because it's a one-time thing you do. You can use those photos for years to come unless you do some kind of major rehab work. But it's a really great thing. So the photos typically are between $170-ish to $230, give or take, to give you an idea of what that cost would be. So our listings out there, our process is, or our goal is, once a listing is out there, we want to get it rented, within 21 days. And now there's a lot that goes into that. With that goal in mind, we want to make sure that it's initially listed at an ideal price. We're looking at current market, we're looking at the condition of the home, and as long as everything aligns, the property is in great condition, move-in condition, there's no areas that we're kind of ignoring for the time being that we might get negative feedback on. We're not listing it too high. Those types of things we all want to consider when we're starting with that listing price. So we create that listing and we have the listing up there. Every week that the listing is up, we will contact our clients, give them an update on what's going on. Clients also get a report from this software that we use that helps us see every single lead that we get. We communicate with every lead we get. Clients get a report showing who showed interest, of those people that showed interest, who's pre-qualified, of those people that pre-qualified, who has actually scheduled to show or to view a property, and of those people who have actually seen the property. This report comes out every week in addition to us reaching out, and it's just really useful information. Renters that have viewed the properties can also leave feedback, which our clients can see, and that feedback is useful for us. So they rate it 1 through 5. If we see that there's a 5, we're really excited about that because it shows us those renters like it. So we're hoping that they apply, and we'll talk with them, encourage them to apply. We send them the links and all that stuff. And then if it's less than a 5, we'll see why. We'll ask the renters, that we'll read their feedback. If there's issues with the property, we'll go address those. If it's too high, renters are saying the place is great, but it's too small for the price, those types of comments. We'll all talk with you about this and determine what needs to be done. Maybe we need to reduce the price for the next week so that we can start getting more interest. At the same time, we might not get any interest, and that shows us that the price too high likely, and so we'll want to reduce it. So those types of things are all discussed every week. Now, when we have a potential renter that applies, we have a very thorough application process, and we have we process every application the same. So an applicant fills out the application, we receive it, and then we do a screening where we will process and review their criminal history. We'll look at collections accounts. We'll look at their income, their employment, and we will also contact previous landlords. With the screening results, we prefer a 600 credit score or higher. It's not the end of the world if they don't have exactly 600, but roughly around there. We also look at combined credit scores. So if multiple people are applying and will be roommates, maybe one roommate has a higher credit score, the other one has a little bit lower, it still might work out fine. If it's one renter or a couple and they have lower credit scores, but everything else on their application looks great, we might just go ahead and still approve them by either asking them to have a co-signer or maybe paying a little extra as a deposit. We do not accept previous felonies. We do not accept evictions. If we notice on a background check that they have collections from a previous landlord or property management company or apartment complex, whatever the case may be, that's a big red flag, and we can't guarantee they're going to be approved. So with all of that, we also talk with landlords, the previous landlords, and they don't always reach out to us, but we attempt to, because their feedback is very useful for us as well, and what they have to say. Once we have all the information, we make a decision, and we approve the renter, and then let you know the great news. Once the renter has signed the lease agreement, made their security deposit, and we're planning on the move-in date. So when a renter does get approved, we'll send them a lease agreement like just mentioned, and in order to basically reserve their spot, they're required to pay that security deposit right after they sign that lease agreement, because we don't want to be lenient if maybe the move-in date's in 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. It's a pushed out move-in date. We want to make sure that they're not going to back out on us at the last minute. That's happened before, and it's not good, because then it's just wasted time. We missed out on multiple weeks of waiting for this person to move in, and then on the last minute they moved out. So we require that security deposit up front to show that they're going to move in. They also are required to pay the first month's rent right away too. So all that, and we let you know how much the rent is, when their move-in date, all that fun stuff. You get access to that lease agreement from your building account to review it at any time, and we assist with the renters during the move-in process. Another topic that's potential leads would like to learn about many times is our maintenance processes. So we use a software called Property Meld in addition to Buildium. Property Meld is strictly for maintenance, and you as an owner would get an account with Property Meld, and then our renters also get an account with Property Meld. And what's really nice is the renters can submit a maintenance request through the site at any time. And the system tries to get them to be as detailed as possible, and that helps us determine what is actually going on here. Is this something we need to send someone out for? Can we troubleshoot? All that kind of stuff. And so the renters can add photos, they can add videos, as much detail as possible. And what's great too is we can communicate with this renter all through Property Meld. It's called a meld. It's basically a work order. And so we keep a whole track of work logs. Every time we touch a request, a work log is created, whether we emailed someone, we talked to someone, the vendor told us an update. Every time we are involved with that request, there's a log there, and that just helps us stay organized, look back at the history of what happened within that work order, in that repair, and it's just very useful. And then if we need to talk with our clients, we can send a message to the client on there. They get an email. They might also get a text, but definitely an email saying, hey, this is what's going on. Do you need us to call you? What would you like to do? All that kind of fun stuff. So we can also talk with the vendors through the melds as well, which is great. And In addition to that, with our maintenance process, we typically have any repair that we know is going to be under $500, we'll typically go ahead and repair it if it's deemed necessary. If it's something that maybe is not a urgent repair or something that can be held off, or it's something that we realize that the renter should be able to do themselves, we'll ask the renter to do it, or work with them and figure out possible ways to address it. If there's a maintenance request that's going to be over $500, we will call the owner and talk with them, say, here's what's going on, here's how much we think it's going to be, are you okay with us proceeding with it? Sometimes we're asked to get additional quotes, which we can do up to a certain degree, and so the clients are really involved with that whole process after when anything's over $500, because that's going to be a major expense, or a bigger repair, I should say. And so we want to involve the clients, let them know what's going on. And sometimes we handle really big projects. We have to replace boiler systems, HVAC systems, AC units. We've replaced roofs. And with those bigger purchases, we understand that it can be a big ticket. Those can be big ticket items. So we want to make sure we're working with our clients, getting multiple quotes for them, so that they get a good idea of what is the most, or what is the best option for them to repair those. Another fee that's important to know is our coordination service fee. It's 12%. Of anytime we're helping with our clients to handle repairs using a third-party vendor or contractor. And so we kind of consider that it's kind of like an admin fee for scheduling with these vendors, the renters, sometimes sharing the information with our clients, making sure that the vendors are doing the proper job, checking in to make sure the repairs are done, making sure that the renters are satisfied with everything. And then also we handle the payments for paying the vendors for these items. Now, if an item is going to be over $500, we will ask that our clients, once we're all in agreement on moving forward with a repair, that our clients contribute those funds before that work is started, just so that we can make sure that everything will get, all payments will be covered, and it'll be an easy transaction there. So in addition to those processes, we also have a in-house maintenance fee of $84 an hour. And usually when that's charged is usually when we're doing like handyman type work, where like initially when we're onboarding properties, we'll ask that clients have a lockbox at the property. They don't always, but if they do not, we will install a lockbox, and then it becomes the client's, and that's usually what's charged at our hourly rate. Other examples of that would be replacing doorknobs at unit turnovers, or changing locks, fixing minor holes in a wall or minor leaks. Those types of things is usually when you'll see that hourly rate charged. And those are typically going to be the ones that are under $500. So those are the major topics when it comes to maintenance. Another topic that I didn't mention before was with the leasing. With leasing, when we're renewing leases, we have a very thorough process with that. We start 100 days before a lease agreement is going to end. We start communicating with our clients at that time, and we let them know the rental history we've had with this tenant, how they've been doing with paying rent on time, if they've made late payments, if they've been maybe a nuisance to neighbors and we're getting a lot of complaints from neighbors, or if they've been great renters, and any kind of feedback we'll share with the client. We'll also let them know at the same time what kind of rental market or what the rental market is looking like, and maybe if we need to keep rent the same, or if we're able to increase it based on what the market's showing. That's all communicated with the client. The client is then able to decide how they wish to proceed. If they want to renew, we'll move forward with sending the lease renewal to the renter. And then the renter, we ask that the renter gives us a minimum of 30 days notice before the lease ends. If they need, but ideally we would like them to give us a 60 days notice. And that just helps us get an idea of if we're going to have to list the property again. And that's why we start so far in advance from when the lease expires. So another topic that is very common when we're talking with clients is rent collection and evictions. And so with rent collection, we require rent to be due on the 1st. They have a 5-day grace period to pay rent. If it's not received by the 5th day, they are automatically charged a late fee on the 6th day. And then sometime between the 6th and the 10th day is about when we start processing or sending the 3-day notices because renters are late. And so we have, with the renters that we place based on our application standards and that whole vetting process that we do, we have a very low eviction rate for the renters that we work with or that we place. Most of the evictions that we end up handling tend to be from inherited renters. When we have to do that eviction process for non-payment of rent, like I mentioned, sometime between the 6th and the 10th is typically when we start, we're communicating with the renters once rent's late, reminding them like, hey, rent's late, we haven't received your payment, you've gotten a late fee, when can we expect rent? And it's typically after the 10th is when we officially will have those letters generated for the renters for not paying rent on time. Once they get those notices, they have 3 days to either pay their rent in full. We do not accept partial rent. And if they do not pay in full, we're basically expecting to move forward with an eviction. And so we have awesome attorneys that we use for all of our rent collection, evictions. They do a fabulous job. And we send the information over to them. They handle scheduling the appointments or scheduling the hearings for the evictions. It's typically, once we submit it, it's probably about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks when we have that hearing for the eviction. So it is a bit of a lengthy process, and we try our best before we even send those 3-day notices, to remind those renters, hey, you need to pay or else we might have to start the eviction process. We don't want to do that. We know renters don't want to be evicted. So we try our best to avoid it as much as possible. But, we still have to do it sometimes. So with the eviction, when we have that hearing scheduled, a representative from our company will attend with the hearing with our attorney. They will go through the whole eviction process. Once it's granted, we're provided with a notice that we've been approved for the eviction. And then the renter has, from the next business day, starting the next business day, and they have 7 days to basically pack up their belongings and leave. If they don't leave after those 7 days, then we are required to hire the bailiff, which is about $50, give or take. And the bailiff will meet us at the property after those 7 days. We need to have enough people when we meet the bailiff to change the locks while we're there, and then remove all the items that are inside of the property and place them on the curb. And we would have to remove everything while we're there. So again, we always make sure that we have plenty of people that are helping to do this job, because sometimes it's a bigger job than just removing a couple items. It could be a lot. And then once all those items are on the curb, we have 24 hours to let the renter basically collect those items. If they don't, we come back the next day and remove everything and take it to the dump. And then from there, we do an inspection after we get everything out, and we figure out what is needed to get the place back in rent-ready condition. And so we'll do a full, basically a move-out inspection. You get a report, you get an estimate of what needs to be done, and we work to move forward with that. Now the fees for that can vary. When our representatives, our company, when we go out to the hearings, we just charge our hourly rate, which going to the hearing is typically just 1 to 2 hours long. It's not common for it to be longer than that. So I usually say 1 to 2 hours. And then on top of our hourly rate, our attorneys also will carry over fees for us, and those fees vary a little bit. We usually say between $200 to maybe $300 for a standard eviction, and that includes legal fees, any communication that has to be done with the attorneys beforehand, filing fees, and a few other fees that are required or that are all involved in their invoice. You do get access to the invoices. We post those on your Buildium account so you can review those. And then for the set outs, those also vary depending on how much stuff is out there, how much time is needed, how much junk has to be removed. So we do the lockouts. We have the lockout, or no, excuse me, not the lockouts, the lock changes, and then we remove the items. And so again, that price, we'll be in communication with you when we're doing that project. Sometimes we have an idea before we get there, because we'll go check up on the property before the actual hearing to see if the renter's still there or not. And so we might have an idea of how much stuff is inside, but most times we're not quite sure, so the set out fee does vary a little bit. So after the eviction, the next step is to try to get that money back that we lost. And so the renters are sent to collections if they don't pay it. Typically they don't pay at the eviction. And so we use, either our attorneys can process the collections, or we use Hunter Warfield, which is another company that we use through Buildium, and they strictly work with property management companies and dealing with getting owed money from renters. So we have a great process through that. With collections, if a renter does end up paying, then that income that we collect, the collection agency does get a portion of it, and then the remaining portion goes to our clients. And so through that process, we let you know where things are, if we're getting any results from the collection agency reaching out to the renters and whatnot. It's not very common to get income or owed income from the renters. We try our best. Sometimes we do get it, but it's not often. It's usually the people that are evicted or they owe money, they're struggling. So we do find it a little bit challenging to get that money, but we do try our best. Now, when a renter is placed on collections, if they don't pay, it does hurt their credit score, and it also shows up on their accounts, whether there's an eviction or we send them to collections because they moved out and they have damages that exceed their deposit. We might send them to collections we might send them to collections because they didn't pay the excess amount for the damages. Again, the collection agency will send them tons of messages and reach out to them. Once it's through collections, we don't do any communication with the renters. They're only supposed to go through the collection agency. Sometimes they might try to make a deal, and then if they end up not paying, like I mentioned, it could hurt their credit score, their chances for getting a future rental property because it's on their account, those types of things. So it's not ideal for them to be placed on a collection. So that's why we do that to encourage them to pay what is owed. I realize this video is a bit long, but I hope it's been very useful. There's a lot of great information in here about all the services we provide, how we handle different situations. But the main point is that we're here to help our clients. We're here to help investors so they can go on and focus on other areas of their life and have kind of more freedom, because we're handling the stressful points of managing a property for them. And so one thing I didn't mention is every month we send our clients our rental owner statements. And those statements are great because it shows a breakdown of income received from that month and then any expenses. So you'll see our management fees on there, any maintenance fees on there, all those expenses and income will be broken down on those statements. And then anytime a client has questions, they can reach out to our client relations department, who will provide assistance in answering the questions or concerns that they may have. And our goal too is just really to be available for our clients too. We try to communicate as much as we can and be available to communicate when clients have questions. And I think that's what stands out about our company compared to other property managers. We've heard a lot of stories where people say they can't get a hold of their property manager, landlord, and it's really stressful and frustrating. So that is one thing we try to do at True Home Ohio, is to be available and upfront and communicate as much as possible so clients feel like they understand what's going on and why things are happening, or what is happening even too. So again, I hope this video was very helpful, and of course there's so much more we could talk about. And if you are interested in learning more about our property management services, you're considering us as your property manager, please reach out and talk with myself, Zach, or one of our sales representatives, and we'd be happy to talk to you more about how we might be able to help. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope I get to talk to you soon.